So my company's on the way. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to tape this weekend. I'll just have to see. I'm not going to make any expectations either way. I'm just going to go with the flow. Just let things happen as they will. But I'm excited to have company. And this morning I made a coffee cake, and I just made up the ingredients. And that is one thing I think that people don't get. Like, you don't need a cake mix. Cake mixes even have some junk in it we don't want. Like, they use palm oil. They put just their same thing with all their chemicals. Even this today when I was making mine, I was doing like an apple fritter kind of cake. That's kind of like what I was going for. And the apples, when I was cutting them up, they're all waxy, like in all of our boxed food and stuff. I mean, it's got the chemical compound on it, but they don't do that on our fruits and vegetables, and they're putting shit all over them. They're messing with them in labs, the seeds and stuff. I don't know. Everything is just so they get rich and we get sick. That's their general rule. If they can make money and we stay sick so that we buy their medicine, then they're happy. They don't give a shit about the rest of the stuff. They don't give a shit what we fight about. They don't give a shit. All they want to do is just keep throwing, they just like throw things into the pond so that we all scurry and argue about it, right? But they don't give a shit. They're just doing it as a distraction. It's up to us to, make the change and to realize what's going on and not play the game. They want you to continue to play the game because we always have. But this is the awakening, and they don't have control because we are waking up to the truth. And the truth is that this has been a controlled, it's been a controlled reality, but it's also a school for souls. So, I mean, we want to look at it as all like bad or something. Like, everybody wants out of the matrix. Oh, it's horrible. I never want to be born again and stuff like that. But when you start going at it in a different kind of perspective, and you realize how beneficial it is for you to be born over and over and over, and what you learn and how you carry that with you is your soul's imprint. Just like when I was talking about doing that work outside, and I started getting images in my head, like my hands and stuff were this like other person's, like some sort of farmer or something that was out there making stuff. Like, they didn't go to the internet. They didn't have books. There wasn't like how to build a house for dummies or something. They had to go out and figure stuff out. And that is how they became so strong and resilient. They give such a slight to the settlers, the pioneers, which I give them so much respect. I mean, just go and drive across the country and think about, like, with no roads, no roads, just open terrain and weather, nothing to protect you. And plus all of the tensions between the people who were already living there and the people that were moving in, which I'm seeing that stuff play out still. But, that was part of the whole situation. And, we think of these people being like kind of sickly and scrawny or something. I bet you that these farmers look like freaking Vikings. Like, how, like I said before, I even if you went to the gym and you picked the most biggest gym rat out there and said, hey, go build me a cabin, go chop down some trees with an axe, skin them, get the branches off and build me a house that I can open a door and walk into. It has windows, a protection. Not very many people could. And, if you've never seen an original cabin or have it explained to you how they're made, you can go on. There's so many tours and stuff out there that you can go in and you can see them. And there's usually people who do the tours who explain how things were made. So, if you haven't seen some of that stuff, it's time for you to get out more. It's time to get out there and start exploring for yourself and seeing the world. because it's a fascinating place. But these people who, were able to do that, I imagine that those people were very muscular and fit. And, the women too, they could go out, and I think they could go out with a shotgun and hunt and go home and cook it and do everything. And we're all just like, oh, I don't want to go to the store. Oh, there's so much to do. Those people were freaking out there surviving. They were making it happen. And how this system took those people and systematically turned them into what we have here currently. Gender confusion, obesity, sickness that is just, out of control. There's so much illness in people, and it is all showing people, but they haven't seen it. Not everybody's seen it, but it is just your lack of being able to take care of yourself. Just turning your health over to part of the system. You've given it up. You surrendered your health to them. So we have all of these people who are, went from being healthy and fit and able to conquer the world into people who, have a hard time figuring out where they're gonna go have lunch. I think even people who are just like on Tinder, who are just like swiping, they even get like, oh, I'm gonna get choosy here. What are you getting choosy about? You're just swiping strangers to have sex with. What are you going to get choosy? Is it going to make a difference? You're going to remember who this person is? And it's so crazy too, is because how many people go out there as just kind of ignorant souls. And then they have this other energy imprinted into it becomes a part of you. Their energy now is on you. So you're going and having sex with strangers, then, most people who are having sex with strangers don't feel very good about themselves. They're looking outside of themselves to feel good. So their energy is kind of, it could be demeaning. It could be definitely insecure, not feeling confident. All of the things that, go along with, why you would go have sex with strangers. So that energy is now a part of the person, like whoever you've met up with. Their energy has left an imprint on you. So it's so important for people to be a lot choosier over who they're sleeping with, because there's an energetic swap there. So you're taking on someone else's baggage without even knowing it, and you'll feel it. Like you can, if you go and you sleep around like that, and you'll feel certain times when this person's energy, like they'll just come in your head really strong, or it can be so many different things. It can be, you just keep feeling bad about yourself and you don't even know why. But, this person, for all you know, they were suicidal. They're just trying to sleep with everybody till they go. And then you keep having these feelings of feeling just super down, and you just don't know why, because you're feeling all confident, you're out, conquering the world, sleeping with everybody possible. So why are you feeling crappy? Well, you're taking on a lot of energy of a lot of people who are not feeling good about themselves. And besides, it's an illusion to think you feel good about yourself. And that is another thing I think that people are going to have to start understanding, is that what you're putting out as your energy, when you're putting out something that is good, that you're doing things to make people feel good instead of taking away and making people feel bad, that it makes you feel good. So the more you do for other people, the better you feel about yourself. It's weird, because you would think that it would be exhausting. It's when people are taking from you. That's exhausting. That's when you need to learn how to set boundaries for yourself, and to not give what you're not openly giving, what you are not putting out there as something that you are giving. That someone is deciding what you need to give them, and they're taking. That's a completely different energy. And that is where you need to set your boundaries and stop giving of yourself in those kind of ways. But when you go and you decide for yourself, like, oh, I want to do this, I want to give, and you're giving back, then it takes on a completely different energy. And you're doing stuff to build your energy, to feel good about yourself. So I said before, it's kind of like, it's almost kind of sneaky, like, oh, I like to do stuff for other people because I feel so good when I do it. Because you do, and there's nothing wrong with doing stuff to make yourself feel good. It all is about getting your ego under control, and part of getting your ego under control is recognizing the communication your ego has in your internal. And it's all about recognition of your different dialogues that are happening inside of you, because you have your soul that's speaking to you. You have your ego that's trying to control things. You have your repetitive thoughts. You're questioning yourself. You're questioning things all the time. So when you slow it down, you need to let go. It already happened. You can play it over in your head 55,000 times. It's not going to change what already happened. So let it go. And don't just, oh, I should have said this. Oh, why didn't I say that? Oh, I can't believe they said this. It's done. That was one of the beautiful things I learned from getting a brain injury. We hold on to shit that doesn't need to. It doesn't matter. It didn't make a freaking bit of difference in my life when I started, when it became that I couldn't remember things. Like, all of a sudden it's like, there's so much stuff that we hold on to that. We grasp onto those memories. So we can play them over and over and over. But when they're gone, they're just gone. The time happened. The moment happened. It's already gone. Whatever happened in that moment, whatever lesson that you're taking away from it is already in place. So there's no reason to stay, where you're just going over and over and over things. That's quieting your mind, and then mastering your emotions, because your emotions, part of the whole purpose of being in an incarnation, mastering your emotions so that you have balance and control over your own self. And so that whole, finding your own balance, and but it's like the quieting your mind, finding your balance. So it's kind of like, you have logic, but also, like I was talking about with my friend the other day, her and I both, we go by what is our internal guidance. So you have an internal guidance that's guiding you, but most people are cut off from it. They have, quieted that mind, quieted their soul, so they could survive in this dark space that, we call life. So this, and not all life is the same. All life is different. This life is about souls learning and getting to a point of this graduation, essentially, because you've been through enough a whole bunch of words are coming in my head, but you've gone through enough lifetimes and enough life experiences that it is imprinted into you, and you have inner knowing. And that is the ascension, is that graduation from this I don't know, atmosphere, this reality. So anyways, it is because your ego kind of is also chattery, but it's also kind of protecting you, but it's also, ego is it wants to be center stage, That is one way you can kind of, it's kind of like the loudest voice in your head, especially if you've, caged in your soul because you don't want to hear what it has to say. So you want to quiet your mind, gain control of your emotions, deal with your triggers, go in deeper, think about them in a deeper sense. What's going to benefit you? What are you learning? Not anything about anybody else, but what are you learning from your trigger? What is it bringing up in you? Because that's the gift, so it can be brought up, so you can release it. And then if you can, when you can get where you can recognize all of these different communications, then you can start picking up on the communication that's outside of you. You know, it was easier for me, I think, because I was a kid. So I'm trying to explain it kind of something that was easy for me, and trying to explain it because I know it's not as easy for other people. But you could start recognizing that there's communication going on around you. And like I said before, try the little tests, try asking questions, but then pay attention to the answers and come up with how you want them to communicate with you. Do you want them to communicate through numbers? Do you want them to communicate through music? There's all different ways, and you'll have a lot of different ways that they will communicate. But when you're trying to learn it, it is trying to, okay, this is my ego. Okay, this is my mind just spinning out. Okay, this is my soul. Your soul is always giving you guidance to connection, to unity, to love, because that's what your soul is about. But is also very much into the lessons because it knows the purpose to life. It's only in your confusion in this experience why you can't see through the experience. And that's why I talk about, the more you detach from the avatar and the more you go into the higher self, the more that you get an understanding of all of the different purpose and what you're learning. But the communication, everybody has got the ability. It's just learning. It's learning about all of the chatter that's going on inside of your head and how to get control of it and how to quiet it, how to listen for your communication. I think most people have a lot of communication. They just don't recognize it. Most people think, oh, my head just thought of that. I just created that thought. Oh, my brain's just making shit up. It's like, no, you have actual beings around you that are communicating with you. But I'm going to do a couple of these today since I'm not going to be able to maybe post every day. I'm going to do a couple and then I'm going to, post them each day because I know there's some people who like to get up and have their coffee and, have this conversation with me because, I think that it has all been about them turning our minds off, and most of us want our minds turned on. We want to think about things. We want to be challenged. We want to try and understand what this world is all about. So I'll be right back.